grandmother explained that every forest, meadow, lake, every kind of place has its own folk.
See, during 505 Games digital showcase from almost a month ago, we came across something called Among the Trolls. Actually a first-person survival action adventure game by a group of game designers who previously worked on games such as The Elder Scrolls V: The Skyrim. Well, check it out. All we know right now is that this game is coming to PCs on Steam, and a release date for it is yet to be announced. Here's the trailer. Guys, moving on, it's Derelicts, a somewhat simulator post-apocalyptic co-op survival horror game, one that is set years after an ancient and enigmatic mechanism has flooded the earth with radiation. How is it possible? I don't really know. What I know is that this is the time where you come in and you're tasked with investigating the source of this incident. Build, craft, and explore, and just basically use whatever comes in handy to survive. Check it out, this game is coming to PCs only and set to be coming out late 2022. See, Forever Skies, on the other hand, which I have mentioned probably a dozen times already, is now set to launch in early access phase in about a month from now and on Steam. You can also go ahead and wishlist this game already in case you're pumped about from before. If not, however, just bear in mind, this game is a first-person, as you can see, post-apocalyptic survival shooter in which you'll be in charge of an airship with which you'll basically travel through Earth. Check it out, this is how the game actually looks like.
Вот ты говоришь, а я прям вижу красоту эту. Не первый год в зоне, вроде примелькалась уже, а каждый день удивляет.
Stalker 2 Hearts of Chernobyl is actually releasing December 8th this year for Xbox consoles and PCs. This is in fact after a really difficult struggle its Ukrainian developers were having due to the ongoing war. But regardless, the game is actually still on its track and doing just fine. Heart of Chernobyl is actually one of the biggest games to be released in 2022 as a game that is built with Unreal Engine 5, an open world, a first-person survival horror, and a lot more.
Да пошел ты.
Зря ты так с друзьями. Ты же его на вылазки таскаешь.
Чего-чего, а дружбы в зоне я точно не встречал.
Coming up at number 5, it is Sons of the Forest, a successor to its open world survival horror series, previously going by Forest, that was revealed actually last year around December with gameplay. This game is now headed to PCs and the PlayStation 4 only around October this year, and acting, in case you're wondering, as a survival horror game at its core and playable this time around in co-op. Check it out, this is what the game actually looks like in case you missed it. Moving on, it is Ebola 3. Well, as of this month, one of the most talked about indie games created in the same spirit as some of the greatest classic survival horror games out there, wherein which you get to control this character in first person. Kind of looks like Resident Evil Village, or what would a mix of that and a House of the Dead game would look like. Well, some interesting stuff happening here, if I say so myself. This game is available on Steam through a playable demo right now and said to be coming out in its full real shortly. Okay, speaking of games you can actually have hands on today, we have Deadcraft. Well, it's zombie farming and crafting survival action RPG. Well, visually speaking, what a different kind of twist on the old top-down survival formula would look like. See, Deadcraft's available on Steam and pretty much every single console in addition to Switch for the price of only $22, with a playable demo available on the Nintendo Wii Shop and Steam in case you want to have a little bit of a taste. Here.
Just you wait. You'll belong to me soon enough. Hi.
So, if you're into Japanese-inspired horror games and, well, like, why wouldn't you anyway? They're pretty terrifying. Take a look at The Lost Wild, where we have here a first-person survival horror game revolving around dinosaurs. What I have reason to believe pretty much what a new game in the series of old Dino Crisis games would look like today, what developers of which actually describe to be taking inspiration from Resident Evil and Jurassic Park games, and even more. Check it out, this game is coming to PCs only sometime next year. Frigid, on the other hand, is an exploration-based survival game inspired by the Thing movies, basically one of the greatest of all time. See, this game is set in Canadian Arctic region, where a cataclysmic event puts you in a desperate fight to survive the nature. Well, this is just what the game's description on Steam says, but as you can see, this game's setting in an open world and all set after a deadly virus has hit this part of the Earth's wildlife. Check it out, this game's coming to PCs in about a few months from now.
Consistent rate. Hunters and hikers have become concerned. I had my town officers conduct investigations into these incidents without cause. About a few months ago, reports have escalated into vandalism and property damage in town. One of my officers investigating this was killed. It appears an animal was involved. We have called experts in from the city, and they will be arriving shortly.
My name is Amber. I'm a climate researcher investigating the pristine lake. Something has been released into the lake infecting the animals. I can explain what is going on, but first I need your help. Gather your supplies and prepare for the long trek.
Moving on, we've got Lost Away, well, technically speaking, a space exploration survival game in which you find yourself waking up as a survivor in an abandoned spaceship, and so you become just, well, simply lost away, hence the name. Well, that is basically where you come in the story, look for air resources, gather building materials, harvest and hunt, and basically, well, try to do anything to survive. Take a look. This game is coming to PCs only, and a release date for it is yet to be announced. Alright guys, coming up behind that, we have Rooted. I've actually mentioned this one before, a survival game, almost brand new, pretty much inspired by Last of Us and using Unreal Engine 5. This game, however, is in very early stages of development and said to be coming out in about a year from now. Once released, however, it'll support co-op play, a day and night cycle, season shifts and stuff. However, in terms of story and plot, the team behind the game promised to come out with some of that in the following months, so just keep it in mind. So we do have another open world zombie survival game in the making that works just like the Dying Light 2, although it's not just you, it is you and your family in this situation. Zombie Hill Infested City is currently on early to mid development stage, we hear, and due out possibly late 2022, if not early next year. And oh yeah, to accompany the new game they also came up with this. On the other hand, we've got Nemesis Distress. Actually, this one also ain't new either. In fact, I've personally known about this game since 2 to 3 years ago. This is a first-person horror multiplayer adaptation of the Nemesis board game, in case you just wonder, and now with obviously survival horror elements. This is how the game actually looks like. Here is a new trailer also, and you can have hands on this game on PCs only through Steam on June 15th. This year. Now, coming up behind that, we have Death in the Water 2, obviously the sequel to the one and only underwater horror game simulation. Well, this time around, a pretty vicious looking giant mind-controlling kraken, or is it an alien? I don't really know what this is. Haunts you around every corner? What I do know is that this game is partly survival, partly shooter, and even puzzler, even a tad role-playing, where every die reveals a new nightmare, so to speak, for you. Check it out, this game's coming to PCs in about a month from now.
At a place far, far away from home. Away from your lost ones. Away from friends. Away from safety.
Moving on, we have Abandoned. Actually, this has been a long time coming, but developers of which finally came out and eventually shed some light on what we thought to be some kind of a Silent Hill inspired something, although in first person. What I've learned is that this game revolves around a man named Jason, a younger brother of a cult leader, and well, basically struggling against joining that cult. Well, actually, nothing more than that. We know this game is coming to the PlayStation 5 only, and that could happen either late 2022 or early next year. Check it out.
When you realize this, you know it's the end. Your end. But you will never accept this. You will fight for a way out.
Days left to asteroid impact. Go to the shelter.
And last but not least, we've got something going on here called Asteroid Impact Survival. What I've learned to be basically a simulation game where you have to prepare yourself for the end of the world. See, in Asteroid Survival, you play the role of a regular dude, basically gathering or just trying to gather enough resources for an inevitable catastrophe that'll happen in the next 30 days. Check it out, this game is coming to PCs only sometime later this year we hear.